Abby Choi, a Hong Kong socialite who seemingly had it all. She garnered global attention with her luxurious lifestyle, massive social media following, and a net worth estimated at no less than $100 million. Her stunning features graced the pages of elite fashion magazines such as Vogue and Elle Officielle. However, on February 21, 2023, just a year and a half ago, Abby seemingly vanished, leaving everyone baffled. Hundreds of police officers, including the Special Operations Unit Flying Tigers, launched a search. It took them only 3 days to uncover the shocking truth. Hong Kong, a bustling city home to some of the wealthiest people on the planet. Its skyline boasts 7,500 high-rise buildings over 100 meters tall, creating a breathtaking panorama. It is among Hong Kong's elite that Abby Choi, a world-renowned model and member of the Hong Kong aristocracy, was raised. Born on July 11, 1994, Abby was the youngest of 4 daughters in a wealthy family owning numerous construction companies across Hong Kong and China. Her mother reportedly owned many real estate properties and multimillion-dollar assets, providing Abby and her family with a luxurious lifestyle. Despite being born into wealth, Abby made a conscious decision from an early age to pursue a career in media. Her captivating journey began on Instagram, with her first post featuring a $6,000 Lady Dior handbag. Gradually, she progressed to posting photos of herself in the presidential suite of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Her gentle demeanor and stunning looks quickly amassed a large following, leading to invitations to exclusive parties with luxurious designer brands like Dior. These events were just the tip of the iceberg, as she also enjoyed lavish vacations in Bali and attended fashion weekends in Paris. Amid all this glamour, Abby found love in 2013 at the age of 18, marrying a man named Alex Kwong. The couple had 2 children, but their union was short-lived, ending in divorce after just 3 years. Nevertheless, Abby remained devoted to Alex and his family, to the point of purchasing a luxurious apartment in one of Hong Kong's wealthiest suburbs for his entire family. This $8 million residence boasts marble floors, walls, and a magnificent courtyard. As a testament to her trust and care, she registered the property in Alex's father's name, saving nearly $1 million. Although Abby herself did not live in this house, all members of the Kwong family, including Alex, his spouse, and children, now called it home. Technically, Kwong was merely a trustee, meaning Abby could prove she bought the property and contest ownership if necessary. For Abby, this was not an ideal situation, as she single-handedly purchased the property without reaping any benefits. While this ensured her children's future, her ex-husband and his relatives remained a burden she had to bear, part of her past. The situation worsened over time, and although it initially seemed like a good idea, how long would she have to pay for them out of her own pocket? 1 year, maybe 3, or 10? Now, let's introduce another member of the Kwong family, Anthony, Alex's older brother, who was 31 at the time. Like the rest of Alex's family, Abby took great care of him. 2 years earlier, when Abby and Alex's marriage was still strong, Anthony struggled to make ends meet, suffering from unemployment. To ease his situation, Abby hired him as her personal driver, fostering a friendship between them. Through these arrangements, they developed a strong bond, and soon he often referred to Abby as his sister. In his Instagram posts, he frequently shared photos of them together, and several successful businesses were established in his name, including a small pancake kiosk in the city center. He managed this kiosk during breaks from his driving duties, reportedly amassing a considerable fortune by excelling in both roles. Returning to Abby, after some time following her divorce, she found new love with Chris Tam. They exchanged vows in a grand ceremony in 2016, and a year and a half ago, they published wedding photos attended by their closest family members. Chris, a successful entrepreneur from Hong Kong, like Abby, grew up in a wealthy family. His father was the organizer of a well-known and highly regarded restaurant chain. Abby and Chris had 2 children together. Despite Abby being a mother of 2 from her previous relationship, all 4 siblings loved each other and maintained good relationships. They often spent weekends together, frequently visiting Disneyland and enjoying luxurious trips on private yachts. Despite all the behind-the-scenes drama, Abby's sensational success remained unaffected. Leveraging her influential connections and significant capital, she gradually transformed from a mere fashion influencer and media personality into a true media corporation. Her charisma, physique, and sense of style landed her on the covers of many renowned magazines, including Harper's Bazaar, Elle Officielle, and Vogue. However, behind closed doors, tensions between Abby and the Kwong family were escalating as 2023 began. The Kwongs had been living in the house Abby bought over 6 years ago, and Abby was increasingly frustrated with this arrangement. Initially, she was fine with it, but as she matured, she realized she was being taken advantage of and, truthfully, owed them nothing. When Abby bought the apartment, she was young, impressionable, and perhaps a bit naive. Rumors suggested that Alex's father had convinced her to buy the house, but now Abby wanted her apartment back. Unfortunately, this wasn't the only bad news for the Kwong family. Alex's father, Cao, was once a respected sergeant in the Hong Kong police force, known for his impeccable service. However, everything fell apart in 2005 when he was accused of assaulting a woman. Instead of fighting the charges, he resigned. The Hong Kong police turned a blind eye to the accusations, and he faced no punishment or even a reprimand. Cao wasn't the only family member with a dubious past. Alex himself was not squeaky clean, having been on the run from the police for several years. In 2015, he tried to become an investor, targeting gold. Instead of taking the risk himself, he gained the trust of 4 wealthy businessmen. As you might guess, they all invested in his grand scheme, contributing over $500,000. Instead of trying to earn a profit for the investors, Alex simply fled with the money. The family members not only engaged in questionable activities, but also had financial troubles. Alex's brother, Anthony, was deep in debt. Despite being given second and third chances, his spending habits exceeded his income. His Instagram page showcased his desire to project a facade of luxury, but behind this facade was a man burdened with insurmountable debt. In 2019, a local bank sued him. Even Alex's mother wasn't free from financial troubles. 3 years prior, she was declared bankrupt by a court. The contrast between Abby and her former in-laws was stark. Abby achieved international recognition. Her net worth exceeded 100 million Hong Kong dollars, while her ex-husband and his entire family remained stagnant and dependent on her. As humans, we are susceptible to envy and anger, which can manifest in various ways. Although Abby wasn't responsible for their financial problems, they naturally resented her success. Abby felt this disparity, and at some point, she decided it was time to end the handouts and freebies. Specifically, she wanted to reclaim her $8 million apartment. The conversation did not go well, to the extent that Cao even threatened to kill Abby if she tried to take back the apartment. Abby was understandably very upset by the situation and immediately sought legal advice. However, it was evident that she had a golden heart, as she went beyond this mess and started looking for a new home for the family despite their threats. Remarkably, she even had plans to purchase a property for them, albeit not as grand as their previous $8 million home. But let's be honest, what could they reasonably expect? Unfortunately, before these plans could materialize, she suddenly disappeared. This happened on February 21, 2023. She left early in the morning to pick up her daughter from school, but when the final bell rang, the mother was nowhere to be found. Despite numerous attempts to reach her via calls and texts, there was no response. This behavior was highly unusual for Abby and caused concern among the teachers. Given her work and lifestyle, she was obsessed with her phone and unlikely to miss notifications and calls. Her social media profiles also went silent, which further fueled suspicion. 2 hours later, she was reported missing, and authorities immediately sprang into action. As is often the case with wealthy individuals, they have their privileges, and more than 150 police officers were involved in the case. Investigators didn't take long to find the first clue. Security camera footage from her residential complex showed Abby dressed in a white long-sleeved top, white pants, and white slippers, carrying a purple handbag. Judging by the time, she was likely heading to pick up her daughter from school. Moreover, the vehicle in the footage resembled the same seven-seater car that Abby and her driver, Anthony, used. Interrogations of Anthony and his family yielded no useful information, as they all claimed not to have seen her since her disappearance. Despite their efforts, authorities couldn't locate her. At one point, officials resorted to analyzing the car's GPS records, and what they discovered was incredibly tragic. The car had been moved to a location 30 kilometers from Hong Kong, in the village of Lung Ma Te. Armed with this suspicious information, dozens of officers were immediately dispatched to investigate the area. They conducted door-to-door inquiries throughout the village, thoroughly reviewed surveillance footage from nearby homes, and collected dashcam recordings from all vehicles near local parks. By Friday noon, 72 hours after Abby's disappearance and just 24 hours after Lung Ma Te became a focus, detectives zeroed in on a 3-story house. Unfortunately, nothing could have prepared them for the horrifying scene inside. Aside from a well-equipped kitchen, the entire house was empty. The windows, floor, and walls were covered with tarps. While I won't go into graphic details, suffice it to say that 2 human legs were found in the refrigerator. The kitchen also contained a meat grinder, electric saw, cleaver, butcher knives, raincoats, and 2 large pots boiling on the stove. Inside these pots were a human skull and various rib bones. Authorities were stunned by the gruesome scene, and when the news spread, it sparked outrage and speculation across the country and the world. After reviewing all surveillance footage, various Kwong family members were seen behaving suspiciously in the area, prompting a search for Abby's remains by over 100 Hong Kong police officers. The search involved divers, sniffer dogs, data analysis experts, and even drones. Unfortunately, their efforts did not lead to the discovery of her remains. Investigators confirmed their interest in a large plot of land on a hill, but those searches also yielded nothing. If you had any doubts, it seems the Kwongs are responsible for her death. And shockingly, the entire family appears to be involved, except for Abby's own children. The main question now is what exactly happened to Abby Choi on the day she disappeared. Here's what we know so far. Anthony knew Abby's usual daily routine. Armed with this knowledge, he and other Kwong family members planned to abduct her. Cao, who had threatened her weeks earlier, started preparing the plan. For $1,300, he rented a house in Lung Ma Te with the clear intention of erasing all traces of her murder. After the abduction, Anthony reportedly drove her to the entrance of the Lion Rock tunnels, where Alex was already waiting. They continued their journey northeast towards Lung Ma Te, where they met their father at the house. Later that evening, she was reported missing. When the police turned to the Kwongs for information, the 2 brothers and their father allegedly gave inaccurate statements. Suspicion arose when their accounts didn't match, and 3 days later, authorities searched the house, making the horrific discovery. Anthony and Cao were arrested that evening on February 25th. However, Alex was still at large. As soon as the crime became known, Alex became the most wanted man in the city, and everyone was looking for him. A citywide manhunt ensued, and authorities offered a reward of 200 million Hong Kong dollars for information leading to his capture. The case was so high profile that members of the city's elite special unit, known as the Flying Tigers, were called in to assist. When the Tigers are involved, you know there are no other options, and fortunately, Alex was apprehended the next day by officers at a pier. He had been trying to flee the country by sneaking onto a border yacht. He was found with over 500,000 Hong Kong dollars in cash, luxury watches, and jewelry worth $4 million. He planned to escape as a stowaway, having bribed a yacht crew member with $13,000. Fortunately, instead of escaping, he ended up in a jail cell. Following his arrest, police formally charged Cao, Alex, and Anthony with murder, and even arrested Cao's mistress, who was suspected of helping Alex flee. Subsequently, charges were filed against 2 more individuals, including the sailor who planned to assist Alex and one of Alex's friends. Afterward, farewell messages and expressions of gratitude poured in for Abby from her family, colleagues, and numerous friends, including her last husband, Chris Tam. Chris described his wife as a kind-hearted person who always wanted to help others and consistently supported and loved him. Friends remembered her as loving, kind, and caring, yet successful and strong. Abby Choi left behind 4 children, and according to the latest reports, Abby's mother had to fight a legal battle to gain custody of them from the Kwong family.